get myself situated.
All right, we here.
Okay.
We here, we here.
Mm-hmm.
How was everybody day today? Devil trying to be busy over here, but we not gonna allow him to win today. We not doing that.
Not at all. Not at all.
No.
You got people, we already got people tuned in.
Yeah,
Oh man, what's up, everybody?
we sure do.
I'm also live on my Facebook page. We at the Ladies Lounge this evening, and we talking about mental health and social media stuff. So y'all definitely want to tune in for this. It's gonna be a real good conversation.
All right. We're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it do what it do today.
We got it. It's going. I already know. I ain't.
We do. We got this. Because we not
Who's who's supposed to hear it? Gonna hear it. You
come on
know.
now. Come on.
So
All right. Well, let's not wait any further. You know, we got
uh,
we got the people waiting this long. We appreciate
yeah,
everybody
yeah.
who is tuned in.
Hmm.
I'm excited. I'm excited to
Same.
chop it up today. We back in the ladies'
Yeah.
lounge.
Hmm.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We welcome you 3 times in the ladies' lounge. How about that? Um, so let's just get into it, ladies and gentlemen, because we got some men out there. Go ahead and grab your drinks, get comfortable, and let's get into it. How about that? Welcome to the ladies' lounge, where we're evolving women and men through conversation. I'm your host, Britt Danielle, and I have the honor of chatting it up today with CEO Albert Shaw. And the crowd goes, wow. I am so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm really
Absolutely.
excited because we've already been having really, really good conversations. So I know this is just going to be an extension of that.
Listen, they have no idea. We know, but they have no idea. So I
They
thought it
don't
was
even
like
know.
really
Yeah.
important to tap into the topic of today.
Hmm.
We're talking about mind over media,
Yeah.
navigating mental health in the digital age.
Hmm.
And how important is that now in 2024 when everybody is on either a phone, a tablet,
Hmm.
a camera, because we all vlogging now, whatever device that you use, how essential is this conversation, this topic at hand, when it
Right.
comes to our mental health? So I
Hmm.
think that this topic is going to be a phenomenal one.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, before we jump ahead of ourselves, because I'm so excited, right? We got to talk about these house rules. Now, all of
Yeah,
us grew up on these house rules, which made us who we are today. So, as always, we ask in the ladies' lounge that you be respectful in the chat, as we will give you the same respect here in the ladies' lounge. Again, it's a safe space. We are here to share our stories with one another.
hmm
So we're gonna be sharing some vulnerable things. Just want to make sure that we are creating a safe space for everybody to be able to share with us as well, right? As I
yeah.
always say, the engagement is what we always need. So I know a lot of people are
hmm
hyped about this topic as well. Um,
Yeah.
so so let's not wait any further. Let's talk about it.
hmm
Mental health. That's a big title, big
Yeah.
name, whatever it is that, however
hmm
that works for people. So when it comes to mental health, how do you feel about that?
That's a loaded question. How you gonna ask me how I feel about mental health? What? I feel all types of ways about mental health. Well, so um, I am CEO Shaw, literally hashtag. You can hashtag that. I am
Come on
CEO
with it.
Shaw, but that's who I am. Um, I am a mental health enthusiast, I must say. I also work with NAMI Marion County. That's the National Alliance Against Mental Illness. If you guys can see well, for those of you on Zoom, you can't see it on Facebook, but my background is the feature I had in the Ocala CEP Network magazine as a expert in the area of mental health and business. And so one of the things that I do is I go to different businesses and talk to them about how they can get a higher return on investment and they can lower their turnover rates by addressing mental health in the workplace. So these are heavy conversations that I have with business owners. But even more than that, I live with bipolar disorder. And when I talk to everybody, when I talk about mental health, I'm talking about mental health from a standpoint of a person that has researched it, but also from the standpoint of a person that lives it every single day. I was diagnosed, I'm sorry, with bipolar 2 disorder. I've had it since 2012. And we can get into the details of my story living with bipolar disorder. But for the most part, Britt, when you ask like how do I feel about mental health now in this climate, it's it's kind of it's rough because in the social media age, mental health has become heavy. If you notice, you have a lot of those advertisement for things like BetterHelp, where you
Hmm.
see the social media advertisement for people encouraging people to get therapy,
Right, right.
right? Because it's a big thing, because social media has kind of stripped people of I think the social aspect of social media. And now I think people are, there's a lot of scientific research that backs how social media is severely affecting the mental health of not just adults, but also for young people that's
Right.
growing up in this generation. There's a lot of norms and things created around social media, a lot of complexes, like we were talking about, the comparison complex where people compare themselves to other people on
Mhm.
social media, and it's causing depression in a lot of people. But
Absolutely.
we can get, so it's like now mental health, especially since COVID, mental health, because everything went digital,
Yep.
so it's like there's even research that shows that COVID has really impacted people's mental health because people had to start going to work online, going to school online. And so it's like we're still dealing with the remnants of COVID, which is still alive and well, you know what I mean? But
Right.
we're still dealing with that. And so now depression is higher than ever since the pandemic happened. So like when we talk about things like social media and mental health, it's a really big like buzz conversation right now.
Uh-huh. So I want to go back on something that you mentioned about
Uh-huh.
comparison, like, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
when we're on social media. So I know I'm guilty of it. Like I use social media to scroll, like TikTok University is a thing, right? You know,
Yeah.
we run to TikTok if I need to know how to make, you know, something real quick for dinner or whatever the case may be. And then I find myself at night just scrolling
Right.
through TikTok, and sometimes I'll wind up dozing off. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I see like a lot of people, especially when you're talking about bloggers, um,
Right.
who are on social media and you talk about the likes, you know, how many
Uh-huh.
likes a person have.
Yeah.
I do believe that a lot of us are comparing ourselves
Mm-hmm.
to other
Mm-hmm.
people. You get what I'm saying? And then now that makes
Yeah.
me feel like I'm in competition. So now my anxiety is at an all-time high. I'm not saying this for me. You
Yeah,
know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. I
Like,
know what you
because
mean.
I
Uh-huh.
mean, you know, I know who I am. So, I, you
Yeah,
know,
but you know what? Yeah, people, a lot of people, it's unfortunate, but a lot of people, they look for validation in social media, and a lot of people find their validation in likes and shares and comments and stuff like that because that's the climate that's the thing that social media provides, right? It provides that instant gratification. And the unfortunate part about the instant gratification is um it's it's fleeting. You know what I mean? You
mhm,
have to keep getting it. The more you post on social media, the more you want to see if somebody's liking your post. You know, and
right,
it's like
right.
when you post something that you think is prolific and then nobody responds to it, it makes you feel some type of way about
Like,
yourself.
the
And it's just
audacity.
like right, and you all mad and pissed off, but there's a lot of other factors that really like play into that too. So it's like, but it's like at the end of the day, why is a person's worth tied to the number of likes that they get on a post?
Because why?
Heavy, right?
That is
Why?
heavy. Like,
Heavy stuff. Why? Because it's just the thing where we are right now in social media. You know, a lot of people, they look at people's lives and they compare themselves. Oh, well, I should be there, especially if it's people like you went to high school with or grade school, and you look at them and it looks like their lives are all exciting, and it's like, oh man, look at
right,
them, look at my life.
right.
You know what I mean?
You know, and it's so funny. It's so funny you say that because so I ain't trying to sound cocky or arrogant. You know, I know
Talk your talk, bro.
I know I'm gonna toot my own horn, right? I clap for myself.
Yeah,
But that's just me. And I feel like some
yeah,
people, if you don't come in this digital age with the confidence already, it's
right,
gonna shoot you up and spit you out. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Because you now
Hmm.
are comparing to likes, or like you said, if I leave a comment or a post on Facebook
Yeah,
and I get
yeah,
0 likes, that doesn't mean that nobody saw it. That just
right.
means that they hit that like button because again, they just strolling through. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
But then
Hmm.
even on this platform to be on here and creating this podcast and talking to
Yeah,
everybody and things like that, even if I get 4 people on here, I'm still satisfied because you know what I'm saying?
right.
Like 4 people saw it, but then people will go back and watch,
Right,
rewatch
right,
the
right.
broadcast.
But you know what? That's the beautiful part about social media. You know, I think social media is good in moderation and if you use it responsibly. You know what I mean? Because, for instance, yeah, only 4 people might have tuned in, but if you allow it, this is something that will be on the internet forever and ever and ever. So you'll be able to bless people with this content to the end of time as long as the
Right.
internet exists. So it
Absolutely.
doesn't matter how many people seen it live because people can rewatch it. That's the beauty of social media, you
Right.
know?
Absolutely. And you know what?
Hmm.
I'm gonna tap in on the chat here. And I like what Kadia said. Shout out to
Okay.
Kadia. She said people don't know how to communicate these days because of social media. And I agree with that. Let me tell you, I'm guilty of it. Not this most more so not the part of not being able to know how to communicate because I'm
Okay.
very social and even in an in-person setting. But I will
Yeah.
say I was called out over the weekend. I went to a family reunion and my uncle called me out, right? I'm sitting at the table with the kids. And I got my son on one side, my little cousin on the other side. She's a little bit cousin. She's 21. We
Uh-huh.
all on our phones. Now, when my uncle said, like, well, can y'all put y'all phones down and interact with us? I had to look like, I looked around. I'm like,
Mm,
okay. And it's not that I have an issue with socializing with people in person, but if you're not giving me a
right.
good conversation, I'm gonna go scrolling through Facebook. I'm not particularly looking at anything.
Oh. But Britt, what about if you did not have your phone? What would you do if you were in a situation where you're at a family cookout and it's boring and you don't have access to your internet? Let's
But
go
that
all
wouldn't
the way
bother
back.
me. That wouldn't bother me because if let's talk about it. Let's say if we did have that family out and everybody got to leave their phones
Uh-huh.
at the door, right? Like how some people got to
Okay.
leave your shoes at the front door in their house. They want
Okay.
you to put socks on. So let's say if we
Uh-huh.
did that, I wouldn't have a problem with being engaging in conversation. That
Right.
does not bother me. Cause see, I even though I'm young, I'm 36, but I'm still old school. I had old school parents. Like
We
if
around the same,
come on,
yeah.
let's talk about it. We grew up
Yeah,
without
yeah,
phones,
yeah. Right.
anyways,
We grew
where we
up
had
with
to go outside and
pagers.
play. You ain't sit in the house with the
Right,
adults.
right, right. We grew up with pagers. We had Blackberries. We had T-Mobile sidekicks, right?
The
We had
Nextel where you had the
Nokias.
what was the
Yeah,
Nextel?
we had Next. No, not Nextels. It was the Boost phones, the Boost mobile phones with
Oh
the
my
with the
God,
chirp
yes.
on it.
Yes.
So we came from a generation that didn't have we were pre social media. You know what I
Right.
mean? Our generation. So when I first went to college in 2005, Facebook was just becoming a thing. At that point, Facebook was just for
You had
college
to be in
students.
college to get on Facebook too.
Right.
Yeah,
Facebook was just for college students. Facebook opened up to everybody else.
right.
But you had to be a part of a college network to be on Facebook.
That is true.
So
That is
a
true.
lot of people don't know that because people, young folks, maybe like your kids and my kids, they grew up in a generation where Facebook was always just a thing. Like social media was just normalized. It's crazy how we came into social media. We went from not having it to adjusting to having it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas you have our kids who they could not imagine life without the internet and social media. It's like, what'd you do back then? Dance
Like
with
what?
dinosaurs?
Right.
We're prehistoric. At
Right.
37 and 38, we're prehistoric. We knew life before Instagram.
Like what?
That was the thing.
So my son will tell you, Mommy, you walk with dinosaurs at that point. Yes.
Uh-uh.
What? Because I have Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. Like what? Now don't get me wrong,
Yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah.
not big on social media. Like,
Mm-hmm,
but
mm-hmm.
he big on that game, the PS5. So some of my
Listen,
parents,
my
I don't know.
son too. He lose brain cells when he play his video game. You know what I mean? Like the common sense ain't even there. But I'm gonna tell you this:
But speaking of
our
losing
kid,
brain cells, you just hit a valid point. How many of us are guilty of giving our kids tablets though at a young age?
ooh,
Because
because
I've heard that
yeah,
it kills the brain cells from young.
it does. And what happens is it falls into a narrative of people allowing social media to raise their kids. Ooh, that's a heavy conversation because a lot of people, that's the first thing they do. They'll throw their kids in front of the internet, and then it's like, I can only tell you I'm speaking from experience, where people allow the internet to raise their children.
Wow.
It's a thing,
Wow. Yeah.
and so so when we talk about people who give their children, access to social media early on, that's a heavy topic. Like me and my wife, we don't allow social media in our home. We have
Okay.
teenagers. My daughter just asked me the other day, "Hey, y'all don't mind like letting us have a social media account?" And we're not with we don't like I said, I believe social media has to be used responsibly, right?
Okay.
I don't think there's a problem with having it, but it has to be used responsibly. And
Can you
so
elaborate on that when you say it has to be used responsibly?
great example. Most content on social media is unregulated. And so when we talk about using it responsibly, it's like, what are you using it for? Are you using social media to make you better, like YouTube? Are you looking up personal development videos? Are you looking up ways to better yourself? Or are you just looking at things that are eroding your brain cells? You know what I mean? How are you using this? I asked my daughter, are you going to have you don't need a personal page on Facebook, but you can have a business page.
Oh,
You know
I
what I mean?
like
That's
that.
what I
Yeah.
mean. That's what I mean by using social media responsibly.
Okay. Now, y'all know me here in the ladies' lounge. I keep it real with y'all. So I wasn't using Facebook responsibly, right? They gave it to me and I was so excited to have it. So I was the one back
Yeah.
in the day that would use it to like I post my emotion.
Oh,
And
you wasn't
my
one of them
mom,
people. Britt, you weren't
I'm
one
gonna
of them
say it
people.
here, I was one of those people.
Oh,
I had to learn, right? It's
just telling all your business on the internet. Oh my God.
so okay, let me say this. I would use it to vent about, oh, I was one of them women who would talk about the baby daddy ain't this and that and that and this. I,
You
whew,
were that
I
person?
what? Oh, I was
No.
her. I was her. But then
Oh no.
look,
Okay.
as I mature and as my
Uh-huh.
great grandma
Uh-huh.
used to always say, keep waking up in the morning.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
your point, I
Uh-huh.
started because I started changing. I started developing as a woman. So then my
Yeah.
social media now, all of that stuff I went back and like deleted. Or
Right,
sometimes,
right.
Facebook good for sharing your memories and want to take you back and remind you of,
Yeah,
where
dude, memories that you ain't even asked for. Like, wait a minute, I ain't even asked to remember this.
I don't. I didn't sign
Facebook could
up for
do it
this,
to
but I
you
guess I
though.
did. But as I develop now, to your
Yeah.
point, I use my social media for, just where I am as a woman.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and me and my mom have this conversation all the time because she talk about, the videos I post with the cursing and stuff like that. My mom ain't with
Uh
all that cursing. And I told her, I said, listen, your daughter cursed a little bit, right? We gonna keep it real. But I use my platform to inspire, motivate
yeah,
women,
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
even some of the
Yeah.
men, and which turned into creating this whole ladies lounge. And
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, so when you talk about using it for a business, I didn't do it for the likes. I didn't do it for, just
Well,
the attention.
you want, for some people, they do. They use Facebook or social media in general for attention, and a lot of people do that. But I learned that I seen a Morgan and Morgan. Everybody knows Morgan and Morgan for the people. We all know him. I seen a post come down Facebook. I will not lie to you, Britt. It said, "Has social media ruined your life? You may have compensation. Give us a call." This ad
Wait
was
a
on
minute, for
Facebook.
real?
This was a real ad by Morgan and Morgan on social media about the effects of social media on people and how, they have whole social media rehabs
What?
for people. Yeah, it's crazy.
So this is a thing.
People are literally, you're able to ask for compensation because social media has affected your life so much. I don't know if that was a prank post. I doubt it because I seen their actual link. But yes, how you gonna promote?
I can't take Wiley serious. Why he put in the chat, he seen that and thought about calling. Threw me off. Threw me off. But
Hey,
why would he do that? What?
my thing is, it would have been different if I seen it on Google, but I saw the ad on Facebook, and that's what made it funny for me. Being a social media
So
platform,
this
I was
sounds like
like,
one of the commercials with this. What is it? The Zantac. You know, you be 2 o'clock
yes,
in the
yes,
morning
yes.
because I saw one of
You
them.
listen, let me tell you, for all of the women that have been getting perms, relaxers.
Yes.
They now have a lawsuit going on for, let me tell you something, people, black women have been straight for a long time. Okay. And now you can get compensation from getting these perms and relaxers apparently now. So nothing is off limits at this point. Nothing. You know, if you was getting perms back in the G, you can get money.
What?
Okay, that's all I gotta say.
Not only was
So
I getting perms, but I was also in the Just For Me commercial.
did you got money? You better claim your money.
I got some stuff to do tomorrow. Got some business to take.
Girl, go to get that money, but
Okay.
yeah, that's what. But yeah, social
You
media
got me
has
over here
gotten
crying.
us. Same. Social media has just gotten us. It's so bad to the point where law firms are putting out ads for people's whose lives have been affected and damaged by social media. Not just you're talking about damaged.
Wow.
You're able
So
to
I
get
believe it because
money. Yeah,
I heard this thing
yeah.
that social media causes anxiety. There is an acronym called FOMO, fear of
Mm.
missing out. So
Mm.
people really have like anxiety around looking at other people's
What?
social media, and if they feel like they're not included,
Are you
that's the
serious?
thing. Or if they don't get their notifications, if they don't have that notification on, it
What?
really causes their anxiety. Like that is a whole thing.
FOMO, the fear of missing
FOMO,
out.
fear of missing out. That is a thing.
Wow. So you're telling me a person can get anxiety over the fear of missing out on what they see on social media. Are you telling me
So
that,
so
Britt?
look, so look, we on live right now on Authentically Be Facebook page. And if I miss this live, my anxiety is through the roof. I'm having a whole anxiety attack because I can't find the
What?
live.
See, so wow, FOMO, and there's a whole name for it.
It's a whole name, fear of missing out.
Ain't that something? The fear of missing out, and now people are so that goes to what we're talking about as far as the climate of social media.
That digital
There's a
age.
whole, there's a whole, there's a whole almost diagnosis
Yeah,
on
yeah.
things, on the way social media is affecting us, and it's like now it's so bad because we live our lives on the internet. If you think about it, like you were saying earlier, you go somewhere and everybody is on their phone. Everybody's head in their phone. And now it ain't just, it used to be a time where, oh, well, it's just young people head in their phone. No, everybody head is in their phone now.
But we're
It
not
ain't
even
just
on
young
our
people, it's
phone.
old
We
people.
look, we're not even on our phone just for social media. I can't even.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
It
yeah,
could be
yeah,
a
yeah.
car accident, some people fighting. We quick to
Yeah.
pull out our phones now and want to be the first one to
Oh,
post the video to say I had it first
I heard
instead of
somebody
helping.
say, I heard somebody one time say our phones are an extension of us.
Ooh,
And it has become that way. If you think about it, like you just said, instead of people morally doing it, see, think about it. When we didn't have cell phones, when a lot of these things happened that, we're now recording on our phones, we would jump in and help. But now it's easier to pull out your phone and record and not do nothing.
look, I can't help the lady across the street because I got let me record this show that I'm helping her across the street and post it to show I'm a good person.
People, that goes back to validation, right?
Ooh,
It goes back to validation. A lot of people do things on social media just for the validation, just so that they can get those likes, right? That's why you have people that are willing to do anything on the damn internet just to get famous.
right, right.
That's the thing. And when you
I
say
don't want that.
anything, when I say anything, I mean anything. You know what I mean? Like if it'll get views and likes, people are willing to manipulate, they're willing to harm, just they're willing to embarrass other people just for likes. They'll exploit families, they'll do everything just to get a
Saw
few
this interview.
views.
Well, not an interview. Something came across on Instagram the other day. I
Mm-hmm.
forgot
Mm-hmm.
who the
Mm-hmm.
basketball player was,
Mm.
Um, but they asked him, you know, who is his favorite, or like who is his crush as far as another celebrity goes, and his wife was standing right there, and I was like, why would you want to ask that question and that man wife standing right there? This is not like, you know, y'all cool and y'all, you know, playing spades in the garage and you can ask that question in your, you know, in your own comfort of your home. But like, why do we do
Because
that?
for likes, but let me tell you something. That would have been great for him to do with my wife because I would have been. Let me tell you something. My wife will tell you who her celebrity crush is. She'll say it right in front of me. So it ain't one of them things where it's like, see, it depends on the audience. You know what I mean? Like I have a celebrity crush, my wife does too, but we're comfortable with each other like that. So it's not something that would have been like, oh man, you've been disrespectful. But I understand where you're coming from because people do anything for likes. I know you don't see in the videos. I think that the craziest video I've seen to date for likes is people who go in the store and harass people.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like just because, you know what I mean? And it goes the other direction. People do really nice stuff for people just for likes. You know, oh, I'm helping out a homeless person because I want everybody to see what I do. You know what I
right.
mean? It go both ways.
I, I'm gonna take Wiley out this chat because he he talk about look at Miss Netta and Charles. Uh,
Ooh, we're not talking about Miss Netta and Miss Oh, we're not talking about Miss Netta. I'm not doing it. I'm not going there with
but
her.
it's our fault because that Charles,
I'm
your
not
lunch
going
is
there with
ready.
her.
Who was not singing that? Come on, like let's be honest. We got to be honest with each other. They you can't have a catchy little song, even though it got on my nerves at some point. But I was guilty
Right,
of.
right. Look,
I
look,
drunk
look,
the
look.
Charles. Your lunch is ready Kool-Aid. I did. It got me.
Listen, ain't but it ain't nothing wrong with that. Listen, people. That's why I say this is a very this is a very you walk a tight line
Right.
when you talk about social media because people are being put on by social media. Now, people want to talk about Miss Netta and Charles, but guess what? Guess who getting money? I just seen them on a really like very known talk show. So it's one of those things like again, using social media responsibly. They use social media,
For
they
money.
tapped into
For business.
some right. And now I don't
Yeah.
care what you say about Miss Netta. Guess what, Charles? Because guess what? They got something other people don't.
They do. They do. I listen. I'm not mad
Charles
at
got a
them.
whole 18 pack. I don't know what he got going on, but I Miss Netta, I'm sorry if you
I
do
don't
hear
know if
this.
you know
I'm
what he
just saying
got going on.
I don't look, I'm just saying if you got the money, do it. I mean, social media is putting people on, and I think that if we use social media as a tool to help us to read, because social media is an amazing thing. Yeah, we talk about people pulling out their cell phones, but look how fast news travels. Imagine
No,
how
seriously.
before social media, if a child was missing, how long it took to find that
Yeah.
child. Now you can open up your phone and the word spreads faster.
Correct. Correct.
Somebody can find
Correct.
a missing child within minutes
Within
because of
minutes.
social
Yep.
media.
You're absolutely right.
So I can't say that social media is all bad.
It's
You
not.
can't.
But you know what too? And I'm happy you said that because there's always a good and bad in everything that we do. So one thing I did
Mm-hmm.
learn recently, probably within the last year, right? So when we talk
Yeah.
about when I was on my journey of learning who I am as a person, and
Yeah.
you know, and I'm so conscious of what I feed my mind. And
Yeah.
so my sister actually pointed out to me that you can control what's on your news feed. So you have it goes back to a choice, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like on my TikTok, I only have like positive words, scriptures, prayer, motivation,
Got
you
you.
know,
Got
because you can
you.
click that little button that says uninterested If somebody live come on and y'all over there,
Yes,
you know,
yes,
selling
yes.
wigs, I don't want to see that. Nothing wrong with it. I'm not knocking your hustle. I don't want to see that on my feed
It's just
because one's
natural.
fueling
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like, well,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
you can control that. Even on Facebook, same thing. You can
Mm.
hide post, you can snooze it for
Some
30 minutes
some
or
people
30
may not
days.
know that because that again, that's you taking control and using social media responsibly.
Right.
That goes
Look at
back
me
to that.
using it responsibly.
See, you're doing it a lot more than you think because
Right.
I remember one time years ago when Facebook was transitioning from just being for college students to being kind of for everybody. And I remember watching a video that was a very disturbing video because back in the day, very disturbing videos used to come on Facebook. They've gotten a lot better with censoring
Yeah,
what you see,
for
but
sure.
I remember when Facebook wasn't really that regulated, I seen something that shook me to my core, and I wrote Facebook.
Oh
And
wow.
I said, this content needs to be regulated because I have children. And my kids should not see videos of someone else taking someone else's life.
I think you should write Twitter too, because have you seen Twitter?
I I
It's like
I
a free
wrote,
OnlyFans now.
oh, listen, I wrote Facebook and I want to say probably a year later, the same type of content was banned.
Oh
Because
really?
I was just like it when I look back on it, I'm like, yo, somebody did something about it. Because at one point it was unregulated. And you gotta think, when we talk about the effects of social media on our brain, we're consuming this stuff all the
Absolutely.
time. And
Absolutely.
believe it, whether we know it or not, the things that you consume, they affect the type of thoughts that you have. You know what I mean? And so it's really important that you're consuming things that are inducive to positive thoughts or thoughts that are going to move you forward. But when you're seeing all of these images of killing and, injustice done to people and people fighting and beating up each other, what do you think that's kind of telling our mind on the inside? And it
Right.
makes us anxious, right? Because it's like the world is an evil, nasty, horrible place. And it causes us to have anxiety.
Absolutely.
Think about it.
Because
The state of the world makes you anxious, don't
it does. It really they made me anxious. I don't know about anybody else out there.
it?
But
Tell the truth,
it
Britt. It do. It do. It's so much.
no, I'm
And
gonna be
social
honest with you.
media,
This is
yeah.
why I don't have on my social media, I don't have nothing about the news on there. Nothing.
Mm.
It's strictly, even though the news and stuff is social, but for me, it is strictly, oh, what you gonna say?
I was gonna say when it comes to, I always was the person when I started personal development, like, oh, I'm not gonna watch the news because it's negative. Yes, the news can be negative, and we can get into all of the reasons why the news is negative. But what I will say is it's really important to stay tuned into what's happening around you.
Of course. So the
Because
disclaimer
yeah,
is
yeah, 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 yeah.
I watch the news. So I grew up on the news. Like I have to. I have to watch the
I
news to
did
keep
too.
up
I did too.
with what's current. But on my social
Yeah,
media, I don't I don't have too much of, the news on my social media per se. Like
yeah,
I would
yeah.
catch a glimpse of some stuff. Now the whole I gotta say it. The attempted assassination.
Talk about it. Talk about it. Let's talk
Now that's
about it,
something I
Britt.
allowed on my news feed because let
Let's
me tell
talk
you
about it.
something. I love us because I just love us sometimes. I love us sometimes.
We're awesome
However,
people.
we are special. We are special in every kind of way. Yeah, I used to
Yeah, we
watch
are.
Barney. Okay. But so stuff like that, I will allow to slip through the cracks and
Mm-hmm.
keep up
Mm-hmm.
on it because then it gives you
Yeah,
it also gives you some type of dialogue to talk about too, because then I
right.
got questions. Well, what was his secret services, and all this other stuff. Like we could
Oh,
dive into listen.
let me tell you something. My wife would be the person to talk to about that. Let me tell you something. My wife she had to take a detox from the news because it was pissing her off so much. And she was starting to
See what I
not like
mean?
it. She was starting to not like anybody. I was just like, oh man, she don't even like me, the news. You know what I mean? So you got oh, oh, oh. take the news in doses. You gotta take the news in doses. You can't just take all of it, because if you look at the state of the world right now, it really is stressful. We're in a recession right now. The cost of everything. I don't know why a pack of chicken wings is $23. I don't understand why, because chicken wings were never that high. You know what I mean? And it's like, why is the thigh cheaper than the wing? Because it comes from the same chicken. But we're not going to get on that. You know what I mean? But the cost of things, the cost of everything, the cost to rent a home, the cost to buy a home, the cost to just eat, the cost of living is high
The
everywhere.
Dollar Tree is not even a Dollar Tree anymore. It's $1.25.
It's $1.20. We in a recession. How they gonna go up on the Dollar Tree?
But
We
all
in a
of this stuff, to
recession.
your point, all of this stuff does create
Yeah,
the anxiety, then it does create the
yeah,
depression. So I
yeah.
take, I work for a bank.
Mm,
Um, and the amount of calls that I get from men and women, they
yeah.
just cry. They're crying on the
Mm,
phone. People are really in a tough spot.
mm,
And although, I'm grateful for where I am in life, but I
mm-hmm.
also take time out to talk to them because, we need to get back to the humanity of things. Like, hey, I'm still
Right.
human. I'm still a
Ooh.
consumer myself, even though I'm taking this call. My
Mm,
account done been in the red before. You know what I'm saying? Or yes, honey, I done tried to buy a pack of chicken and put it down because why is wings 20, 23, $24 when people pay
right,
rate not
right.
even 23, $24? Let's talk about it.
Oh, heavy.
So then now
Yeah,
we in
yeah,
our head. Now we
yeah,
talking about
yeah.
the comparison because when I go now to
Uh-huh.
try to relieve this stress, let me go watch a
Yeah.
YouTube. Let me go watch my favorite vloggers.
Oh,
Now look,
mm-hmm.
they out at Ruth Chris, or they, you know
Oh,
what I'm saying? Like they
uh-huh.
driving in the newest car, and I'm
Yeah,
sitting
yeah.
over here like I'm eating tuna and crackers watching you on your vlog.
Oh, oh. So, to that point right there, this is where we were talking about people compare their regular life to people's highlight reels, and this is where the depression comes in. This is when people start feeling bad about themselves, and when they start to feel insecure because, or they feel not enough. That's the heavier word. People feel because they compare themselves to other people's highlights. You might look
Right.
at somebody being married. Oh, it's a momentous occasion. And you're saying, oh man, I wish I was married. Why ain't I married? But then you don't know on the back end that they went through years of abuse,
Right.
years of struggle, years of we compare our lives to other people's highlight reels. Most people don't put they messed up stuff on the internet. Most people put the good stuff.
Of
Why?
course.
Because we want other people. Oh, here we go back to validation. We
Come
want
on.
other people to look at our life like we got it together. So we post the together part of our life on social media.
Mm,
But other people don't see the not together part on social media.
mm,
So you start to comparing yourself to other people. You know what I mean? And it's like you're not even making a fair comparison.
mm. But then
It's
that
not
goes
even a fair
back to,
comparison.
and then you're making the comparison because I love what you said to the highlighted reel. And it's
Mm-hmm.
easy to point out the highlighted stuff, right? Because that's the feel good stuff.
Right,
So,
right, right.
you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but
Yep.
I may not want y'all to see how my hair really look when I wash it and don't do nothing
Right,
to it. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Or how I look
Yep.
without these lashes or
Mm-hmm.
whatever the case
Mm-hmm.
may be.
Yep.
Although, y'all go check out my YouTube channel. I show y'all how I look without all this stuff. I don't hide from it. You know why? Because it makes you more relatable. Like I always say,
Exactly.
we are
Yeah,
subject
yeah.
expert matters of our own life experiences.
Right,
So
right.
I don't have no problem putting myself out there and just being real because
Yeah,
I can, you know what I'm saying? Like I am a real
yeah,
person. But when it
yeah,
goes back to now when we're talking about the digital age of stuff, you want the likes, Don't get me
yeah.
wrong, I use my Facebook for other things, because you can make money on Facebook. So now it's about the dollar signs for me. It,
Oh, well, same, because you now Facebook and Instagram. Well, I think Instagram stopped. One of them stopped paying for reels. I do know you can get like stars. That's one of the new things on Facebook. You can
Right.
get stars, and those can change into like dollars and stuff like that. But you again, look at you. There are several times that you have mentioned using social media responsibly. Britt, let me tell you something. I don't
Come on for
know.
growth. Y'all gonna have me shout
I
out.
don't let
Don't
me
have me
tell you,
shouting.
I don't know how you were before now,
You
but
don't want to know.
you use social media damn responsibly, I must say.
Well, thank
You
you.
you 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 do pretty good. I gotta get that to you.
Mom, you hear that? My mom is in the chat. Mom, you hear that? Use it responsibly.
You do. I get and the reason I have to say that is because I'm a marketer. I've been a marketer for 13 years. I've done director level marketing. I've done managerial level marketing. And
Okay.
so social media and social media marketing is one of my strong points. And so excuse me, I'm very aware of how the social media platforms work. I'm familiar with influencer marketing and how the algorithms work and just all of the other like technical nerd stuff that you would
Okay.
talk about when you
Right.
get into marketing. So when it comes to using your social media responsibly, I know what that looks like because I'm a marketer.
Okay.
And so when you're using your social media in a good way, it can make you money.
Uh-huh.
It can raise brand awareness, right? More people can know about what it is that you do.
Right.
And if you decide to get into advertising, sky's the limit if you decide to go there.
Right.
But if you use social media as a voice to reach your audience, like you were talking about earlier about the 4 people, it doesn't matter if a billion people are watching. Why? Because people can watch it again.
Right.
And then people can share it and they
Right.
can share it over and over and over again. So it's like use social media for what it's worth. To be social in front
Mm.
of people. That's the beautiful part about social media right now. Like the one thing that we have with social media that we didn't have before is our ability to reach people.
Correct.
We can
Yes.
reach so many people on social
Yes, we
media.
can. Right.
If you think back to 1999 when all of this was going to happen, the only way you really got to reach a lot of people is if you knew them
Yeah.
personally,
It was what
or if
word
you
of
went
mouth
to
then
school,
for real at that
or if you
point.
went to or if you went to
Yeah.
school with them or to church with them or you work with them. But now on social media, you can reach millions of people within seconds.
Right. Absolutely.
So when we talk about social media and navigating social media in this digital age, I'm not the type of person that's going to say that social media is all bad because it is
No.
not. As a marketer, it is not. But if you don't use social media responsibly, you can get into a situation where social media or the internet, period, starts to shape what we think. If you think about um, our patients now, do you know that
Ooh.
since 2021, or I think it's 2020, the average human, what word am I looking for? Attention span is less than a goldfish. That's less than 6 seconds.
Wow.
Because social media gives us so much gratification when we scroll.
Mm-hmm.
Our attention span is not, we don't have big attention spans anymore because social
Wow.
media, we can scroll. So that's why most people now are not patient. You don't have to be patient anymore because you get what you want right away.
Ooh, because that's what I always say. We want things microwavable. Like you want to put it in the microwave 30 seconds, get your food warmed up. Remember back in the day, you had to put it in the oven
Yeah, you
to
had to
reheat your food.
wait.
You gotta wait a
Yeah,
little
yeah, you
bit. You
had
know
to
what I'm
wait.
saying?
Yeah,
That is so,
yeah.
that's good.
But
Wow.
now, because of social media and our attention span, as a marketer, I know that I have less than 5 seconds to get your attention if I want you to look at my ad. Okay.
Wow.
And I know that the average person has to see an ad 18 to 20 something times before they even interact with it because we see information so fast.
Mm-hmm.
We see it and we scroll. If we don't like it, guess what we do? We scroll. We're not going to sit and watch something we don't want to see. So
That's
we
true.
don't have to be patient. So you think about it. We get to Starbucks and we have to wait in the line and we pissed off. Why? Because we don't have patience. We don't have patience because we get everything we want on the internet quick.
Wow.
So we don't know how to do something social like wait in a line
Wow.
because we get hits of what we want right away. There is no reason to be patient now. If you
Right.
want to know what it takes to be a doctor, guess how long it takes? A few minutes on Google. You want to know how to apply on Google. You want to know how to be a great doctor, Chat GPT. Ooh, AI.
Ooh.
You
Ooh.
know what I mean?
Don't go too far with it now. Don't go too far.
Right. I know I got you, but what I'm saying is that plays back into really all of this goes back into what you were talking about as far as the climate of social media. You know, social media has become a thing that it's kind of taken away our social abilities. You
Right.
know, it's hard for my kids if they don't have if they don't have social media, they don't know what to do. If they don't have the internet, they don't know what to do. It's like, Dad, what to do? Go outside and do what?
Like I didn't see how many likes did that get, so I could do it, so I could go do it, so I know it's validated. Because I don't want to do it if it ain't got a lot of likes. What do you mean?
Right. You know what I mean? And that's how and right now it's unfortunate, but you even have young people. I don't want this to be a trigger warning, but you even have people who commit suicide as a result of comparing themselves to other people on social
Correct.
media. And you
And
know,
they're doing it on
my
social media too.
oh yes, and they're recording it. People are
Right.
seeing things like
Right.
this real time on
What was the
social
guy? Oh
media.
my gosh. It was a
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you heard about it. It was a guy, I believe he was 28. I can't remember his name, but you mentioning it. He went on a killing spree and killed like his mom and
Mm,
his girlfriend, I believe, and his
wow.
cousin. It was her birthday. And he was on his way to Atlanta to go kill his wife, I think it was. Don't
Mm,
quote me, y'all can look it
mm,
up. But anyways,
mm-hmm.
he used social media to cry out for help.
Wow.
You get what I'm saying? And people were
Mm,
actually like, he went to social media to cry for help, and then also talked about how he, like one is dead, she had to go, and all, like he used his platform. And sometimes some of us miss the mark when people are crying out for
mm.
help. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, people, and that goes to mental health, where one of the things that I talk to businesses about when I talk about how business owners can make more money and they can reduce their retention rate by addressing mental health. That's the exact
Mm,
thing that I was talking about. Just what you said. That's the exact thing that I'm talking about.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
and that's one of my conversations with these people.
So I will have to say, when you talk about the business aspect, because I don't want to go too deep into it, because
No, no,
there
no, no,
will be a
no.
part two of this. So surprise y'all, we will be back for part two. Because when we talk about mental health, it's so many doors that we could be
Oh
going
my
in and out
God.
of with
Listen,
mental
Britt,
health.
and they don't even know that I
So we
get
got to
all
run it back. We got
into
to have a part two of this.
I get all into the metaphysical aspects because you know what we're talking about is just one aspect of it. That's the physical aspect, but then you have a very spiritual aspect to a lot of these things too. So that's something we can talk about on a later date. But
We
on a
go
more
listen,
super
y'all. We here to talk about this mental health. So we'll be back for part two. But I love, like,
Yeah,
just briefly
yeah,
touch on it, because
yeah,
you took it there when you said the business aspect of it, and I have to give all,
yeah,
like, flowers to my supervisor, who understands, and I'm not afraid to say that I do have anxiety. I don't fear that saying it, and
right,
I'm okay with people if they choose to look at me some type of way, because before I used to have
right,
I used to be like, people gonna look at me crazy,
You got
right?
anxiety about
I
telling
got
people about you.
anxiety, okay?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
look, and I look good because some people be like,
You
well,
could
you
wait a
don't
minute.
look like you have it. Well, how does anxiety look, man? How does depression look?
You got anxiety about anxiety.
So I said that to say, sharing it with my supervisor, she is so supportive, right? Taking calls, y'all,
Yeah, yeah,
it really does take a strain on your mental if you allow it. Because like I said, I work for a bank. However,
right.
these are people who are dealing with real life situations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
I don't, so what I've learned to do is take a breather. When I have a call like
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, and because I poured into them, I have to now
Yeah,
take a breather to get ready to take the next calls.
yeah,
You get what I'm saying?
yeah,
But I had to learn that over time with doing so. But having my supervisor to be able to just message and be like, hey, I just need a moment. Or she always asks me every day, how are you doing? Do you understand? Asking somebody how they are doing, taking time away from your social media, putting the phones down, asking someone how they are doing can change a person's day. You get what I'm
yeah,
saying? Because that shows that you care. That could be an outlet or the door for me to run in and say, I am
yeah,
not okay. Here's what's going on. I got a
yeah,
headache today. My feet swollen. All this other stuff I
yeah,
got going, which is
yeah,
really what I
yeah.
did say to my supervisor. But just having that safe space in your workplace
Uh-huh.
really does help.
Uh-huh.
But I know we're gonna talk about the workspace on part two.
Oh,
But
look,
since
we
you
can
took it
talk about the
there,
work. We can talk about the workspace some other time. But what I did want to say is, it when it comes to work, we're at work a lot of the time, and if our jobs can't be a safe space for us to be authentic, I think where I was going with this originally was people have to know the signs of when somebody is crying out. I think that's what you were talking about with
yes,
our
the
with the
cry for help.
dude.
Yeah.
And a lot of us don't know what those cries for help look like. A lot of us don't know, even when it comes to family members and friends. Most people who you already told you, my mission in life is for people to stop killing themselves. That's
Right.
the thing. And a lot
Absolutely.
of the time, science tells us that when most people following behind a successful suicide, people always leave a letter. They always express themselves. They always are trying to tell somebody that, hey, this is hard, but most of us don't know the signs. We don't know what to look for in a depressed person. We don't know what to look for in an anxious person.
Right.
We don't know what to look for. But in our minds, we'll just say, oh, well, this person, you know what I mean? They either will be judged, they'll judge us.
Which doesn't help, by the way.
Right. It will either be judged, and a lot of people don't even talk about their mental health issues because they feel like they'll be judged. That's the main reason.
Yep.
Because it's like if I say something about this, what will people think about me?
Well, first of all, they're gonna tell you to pray about it. Look,
Oh, they gonna tell you to do what, Britt? Oh. Wait a minute. I wish I
I
had
said it.
a teacup.
I said it. Look, I ain't even got a drink today.
They gonna tell you to do what? Pray about. Oh, I seen the shirt that said you can have Jesus and the therapist too.
Shut up, cause I need
I
that,
seen it. It said it. It said you can have Jesus and the therapist too.
and you
Yes.
can, because what to
Oh,
me, what
yes.
that means personally for me, yes, you do have to pray about it. I'm not taking that off the table, but that's not all
Right,
you
right.
have to do. You have to do the work.
Oh,
You get what I'm
oh.
saying? You
Because
and I
faith
went to
without works
therapy.
is dead, ain't it?
Ooh,
Because the work is
better.
therapy, ain't it?
You
Ooh.
better. You
Know
not
what?
too much.
Listen,
Not too much.
I know. Let me back up. Let me back up. Let me tell you something. When Wiley introduced us, let me tell you, he know I get heavy into
Listen.
it. Let me tell you something. I am Wiley is older than me. He is my big brother. He is.
Really?
But because I was telling my wife this, I said I have a lot of people older than me that call me big bro. And they call me big bro because of the level of understanding and wisdom that I have on different subjects like this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I always appreciate being connected with people, especially people like you who want to expand other people's awareness. Because it seems like that's what you do. You expand awareness of the women that are around you to let them to normalize that
Absolutely.
anxiety is a thing,
Yeah.
that going through these and that they're not alone. So I love channels like the Ladies Lounge, and I love to be able to be a part of conversations like this because we need these conversations and we need people like you to encourage these conversations so that people can get more healing.
Well,
Because
thank you.
we could talk about healing later.
Look, that's
That's a
whole
whole
lot of,
being healed. That's a whole
that's a
nother
whole lot
topic.
of,
But
and I appreciate your
yeah,
words.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I actually did a workshop on how to handle
Okay.
anxiety with a swag, right?
Okay. With a
And
swag?
that
Okay.
was with a swag, right? Because
Okay.
everybody, come on, it was also a confidence booster because
Okay.
we don't realize that we have our own swag. It looks different for everybody.
You're right.
You get
You're
what I'm saying?
right.
So when you own
Yeah.
in on who you are, which is episode
Yeah.
number one, authentically being,
Uh-huh.
then you would
Mm-hmm.
understand like you can handle depression, anxiety,
Yeah.
all of those things,
Yeah.
with your swag. And
Mm-hmm.
so this actually helps me to talk about it and not be
Yeah.
afraid
Yeah.
anymore to say, hey, I have anxiety. This is what it looks like. Because we could be on here
Right.
talking about it. Short story, y'all. Like I shared, I went
Yeah.
to Georgia this past weekend. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of my anxiety was surrounded around driving, right? Because I
Okay.
had a really, really bad panic attack on 95. I was going home in 2019 for a funeral.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, my anxiety was around death. I had a
Okay.
fear. Oh my God, a
Uh-huh.
fear of death. So when I would have these panic attacks and it make me feel like I'm about to have a heart attack, in my mind, that's what I'm feeling because your heart pounding, your hands getting all clammy and stuff. So I had this really bad panic attack on while I was driving on 95. My son was in the car. I couldn't be in mommy mode because I had to figure out how do I even make this stop? Because now my son is here, he's scared. So it was a
Mm-hmm.
lot. It was a lot of pressure on me.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't do it, y'all. Like I roadside assistant had to come. It was a whole thing. I was in the back of the ambulance.
What?
I was in the ER, like only for them to give me Xanax and tell me going on about my day. And
Oh.
so since
Mm.
then, I realized, for me, this is only for me.
Yeah.
I have to understand what this
Mm-hmm.
is
Yeah.
and how do we conquer that. So fast
Right.
forward to now 2024. So now
Mm-hmm.
imagine I have like this anxiety now around driving. So getting
Right.
behind the wheel in the driver's seat was hard for me,
Right.
extremely hard. Um, So now fast forward to this weekend, and I found out my mom, she tested me, y'all. However,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I passed the test. I
Yeah.
drove. I
Right.
drove to Georgia, drove the whole weekend, and drove back. Now that was a
Okay.
2.5, 3 hour drive. Um,
Okay.
for me, that would have been right a lot to take in. But because I
Mm-hmm.
was so focused on, hey, girl, you are a host of the Ladies Lounge and you around here pouring into these women and men, and we can't be over here having no having no panic attack, So now I'm talking to myself like, girl, did you die? Or hey, hey, you look at you making it through it. Like, come on, being
Yeah.
realistic. Like, come on, Brittany, does anything
Yeah.
sound like it
Yeah.
makes sense in your head? You
Oh,
gotta do what?
listen, Britt. That's when you get into things like positive self-talk. You know,
Absolutely.
when you get into situations like that that kind of shake you to your core and you have to talk to yourself. I
Right.
learned this thing, be your own best friend instead of your own worst enemy. And that's because a lot of us we talk to ourselves in such a messed up way. But it's like, would you talk to your best friend like this? If you were offering your best friend advice, would you talk to him like this?
That's
And it's
really
like
good.
a lot of us don't have, compassion for our own selves when we're
Right.
going through situations and different circumstances like
Come on
that.
now.
So I think it's the conversations gets even deeper because in that situation you were able to have a positive conversation with yourself and say, hey, you know what, even though I feel this, let me pull it together so that I can do what it is that I need to do. And a lot of us tend to go down this cycle because we have this really negative conversation with ourselves in our head. And a lot of us can be to our own detriment.
So it
So
sounds like what you're saying, and we don't want to give them too much because we got
I
part
know, I
2.
know.
We got
I
part 2.
got I got two, but listen, we can go all the way to part 26. We can have 26 Dale parts
We could be done.
because it's just years and
Well,
years.
look, we
I
could
have
take this
years
out
and
to the
years and years
remainder of the
about
year, bringing in
yeah.
2025 when we talk about mental health.
We can
Okay.
listen. Let me tell you something, Britt. We can talk forever because this is when it comes to, like I told you on my YouTube channel, I've been doing this for a long time, at least since 2010, if not before that, maybe like
Right.
2008. And the amount of knowledge that I have, I brand myself as the millennial thought leader.
Come on
That's
with it.
what my brand is. I am CEO Shaw, and I consider myself to be a millennial thought leader because I think that we don't have a lot of thought leaders in our generation. We had people like, Martin Luther King, we had Malcolm X, we had Marcus Garvey. We had a lot of these thought leaders. Even Barack Obama.
Correct.
He was a really heavy thought leader. But I feel like right now for the millennials, and you fall in our generation, we don't really have thought leaders. There are people that are pretty dope, like Nas. I see Nas as a pretty dope thought leader of our time, but other than that, we don't really have too many more Malcolm X's or Martin Luther Kings. We don't have people talking out about a lot of different things, and I believe that that's what my platform is to be a thought leader of my generation specifically, which is the millennial generation. Um, to just let people in my generation know that our thoughts go way beyond the things that are happening right now.
Absolutely. So we're going to end it here
Yeah,
as we have part 2. I'm excited
yeah,
for that. But I want to
yeah.
ask a question to those that are watching, that are going to go
Go
back
ahead.
and rewatch this
Yeah.
episode. Is my question to you is, do you trust yourself?
Before 2 days, before a day ago, no, not really.
Wow.
Um, but now I do. Um, I thought that I trusted in myself, but then I realized that I allowed life to strip me of my confidence and to make me feel powerless. And
Right.
so now I'm in a space where not only do I trust myself, but I believe in not just myself, but the source that created me.
Ooh,
And so the trust that I have is far more than just a regular trust. It's a divine trust because I know that I'm connected to the source of all understanding of all
come on with
things.
it.
So at this point, yes, I do. I trust myself a lot. And this revelation just came a few days ago.
And I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. I think it was confirmation for me this past weekend of trusting myself, you
Yeah.
know, because I had to lean on myself. I didn't speak to anybody else about it, because
Yeah.
some people don't know how to handle it, and that's okay. That's all
Right.
right too.
Yeah.
So I had to rely on myself, and I didn't. I didn't have anxiety this weekend. I had fun. You know what I'm
Good.
saying? I I,
Good.
I made a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said this, you pick a side and stay there. And so I realized that I've
Yeah.
always chose me. You know what I'm saying? So when you
Mm.
choose me,
Mm.
you also have to trust yourself. You can't just choose me
Oh.
because it sounds good, or they made it a hashtag. When you choosing yourself, you are trusting yourself. You know what I'm saying? And then we could
Mm.
go to the spiritual side of it. I know the God that I serve. I know who child I am. You know what I'm saying? So when you really own in on that and have your time for, so I don't meditate like I'm the last airbender, right? Like I don't do that. But I do have moments where I'm quiet and I listen. and I will lean in on the gospel. I'm so happy I grew up, in church, because there are some songs that I could listen to that really just remind me
Listen, I
who I
already
am.
know. I was there all day. I was listening. That listen, I'm Taoist, and
Mhm,
that's a subsect of Buddhism. Okay, I don't. I'm not even. Christianity isn't even my primary spiritual practice,
mhm.
but it's something about a gospel song that just touches me in my spirit.
Ooh,
Why? Because that's how I was raised. You see, when we start talking about spirituality, I can talk about a Taoist Christian,
mhm.
but that's something for a whole other type of
Right,
conversation.
right.
But
We don't want to give it too much.
but I know where you come from when you talk about. I was raised in the Christian, in the Christian church, so I know how gospel music affects us specifically and how it affects me, especially
Mm.
when I'm going through things like today. It's just like it be in my spirit. You need to listen to some gospel. You need to listen to something to feed your spirit, because that's what it does.
Or
It feeds
I
our
have a whole
spirit.
praise and worship in here by myself, because I used
Listen,
to
let
be
me
the
tell you
director of the
something.
youth choir. I who be in
What
here,
I listen, let me tell you something. I'll be in my car driving somewhere, and I'll be done bust out a whole session. I
be the
have
whole
my
alto
windows down
sopranos.
in the car, and I don't care who looking. I ain't
They
got no
don't.
shame at all. Let me tell you, I done shouted, I done danced, I done cried, I done testified
It
to
get
everything
deep.
in my car. And guess what? I don't care if you see me, snot running down my nose and everything. You don't know my testimony. You don't know my story.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. Oh my God. I love this. I love it. Well, we're gonna end it here, because we want them to come back. We don't want to see how
No, they
we
gonna
don't
come
want them
back.
to
They
see
gonna
too
come
much of the
back.
vibes. But as always,
Yeah,
thank you for
yeah,
being here in the ladies'
yeah. I
lounge,
got
chopping it
you.
up with me.
Yeah, I
Um,
got you.
and then to the people that's watching, the
Yeah,
question is still on the table. You don't have to put it in the chat. Do you trust yourself? If it's something that you need to sit with, and ask yourself that question, I recommend that you do it, because that is the start of your healing. That's the
yeah.
start of helping with mental health. And when you talk about this digital age that we're in, don't compare yourself to what you see. Be who you are authentically. You know, and own
Mm,
it. Own
mm-hmm,
that. Because
mm-hmm.
that's your makeup. That's what makes you who you
Yeah,
are. I can't
yeah.
be CEO Shaw. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
I can't be all
right.
the people that's in the chat. I can only be Britt Danielle.
Mm-hmm,
That's it.
mm-hmm,
And my shoulder's
mm-hmm.
only big enough to be me. So
Ooh,
I can't
I
take
like
the weight
that.
on, you know what I'm saying, of doing that.
I
So
like
I
that.
hope I hope that everybody just, got some nuggets and knowledge from this episode. Come back for part 2. We are on episode number 4, y'all. I appreciate you all still rocking with me. I am your host, Britt Danielle. I love you all. CEO Shaw, thank you again for being here. And I'll see you on part 2.
All right, I'll talk to you soon. Peace,
All
y'all.
righty.
All right.